Hey, I still need a haircut, but I wanted to talk about age in the trans community because being as young as I am, people's views of age affects me a lot, or of youth, not so much that people don't take me seriously because they remember what they felt like at my age and know that my identity is valid. Um, More like how I'm treated around like hormones, I guess, mostly. Um, I've been through a considerable amount, there are people who have been through more than me. There are people who I know who have waited 4.5 years to try and find a doctor who would help. I know people who waited as long because their parents just refused to help. I know people who have dealt with parents who just treated their identity like it was completely invalid. So even though they had a shorter wait, it was a much more painful wait. Um, I do know people who've been through more than me, but I think a year and a half is a long time, and I, it's not even just the wait. Um, I mean, there's other stuff. There's been stuff that, I don't know, it was terrible. But I, what, what I mean to say is that I'm sick of hearing, well, at least you're young, because yes, it's awesome that I'm young and that, hormones will probably have a better effect on me than most people, and really, it is. Like, I'm really grateful for that. But that doesn't make up for the fact that, um, the worst, probably the worst thing that's ever happened to me was a doctor's fault. That doesn't make up for the fact that I'm so cynical that when somebody tells me they're gonna get something done that I want to get done, I don't believe them. It doesn't make up for the fact that I don't let myself get hopeful about anything anymore. Anything that I really want. Um, there are just certain things that my youth, the fact that I'm young, can't make up for, that are direct results of what I've been through. Um, it just, it, it can't make up for 5 times getting my hopes way up and thinking I finally made it and everything was finally gonna be okay, and then being let down, or uh, feeling like, I don't know, it can't make up for the what feels like thousands of doctor's visits in which, even though my name's been legally changed for a year, I've been called by the wrong name because the insurance isn't changed, and as many doctor's visits where somebody, an attending, the nurse, looks at my forms and goes, it says he's a she. Is that right? It the fact that I'm young doesn't make up for that. The embarrassment, it doesn't make up for the fact that one of my best friends had to stand there for 10 minutes while my old name was shouted repeatedly over and over, like what felt like every 3 seconds the whole time. Um, because they were trying to figure out my insurance. They were trying to call me in to get everything done. They were trying to call me in a second time because I had to go to a second office the same day. Because my mom had to correct them or explain the fact that my legal name is different than my insurance name, and people, there are so many trans people who have this idea that my youth makes up for all of that, and it just doesn't. Nothing can, okay? And that's all a direct result of how long it's taken, how much crap I've been through, and I'm tired of hearing, well, at least you're young, because yeah, I know I'm young. I know I'm lucky that my parents are helpful and that I've managed to get everything that I've managed to get done by now, but I've still dealt with more help from the medical system than most people I know. Like, even the people who I know who had, most of the people who I know who had to wait 3 years or dealt with ridiculous parents or whatever got through the medical system within like a month, and I've been dealing with it for a year and a half, and it's just as bad as my parents, because these are people who are supposed to get it. They're supposed to know about this stuff because this is a medical issue. It's not a freaking psychological issue, it's a medical issue, and people in the medical world don't get it. And there are people who are supposed to be experts on it who are worse about it than anybody I know. And I've had to deal with that longer than anybody I know ever has. Except for maybe a few people who tried to go to Dr. Spack in Boston, but even then, his waiting period is 6 months. That's shorter than 18. I don't know if you knew that math there. So, and I think what gets to me too is the fact that, if a person is over 18, he'll never get like, oh, at least it took a really short time. It's just expected for it to. And if it takes a really long time for me, it's just expected that all of the crap I've been through will be okay if somebody just says, oh, at least you're only 16. None of that was okay. It was all humiliating, it was all horrifying, and it was all stuff that nobody should go through, and I would never wish it on anyone else. And if I knew that it would turn out the way it did, then I wouldn't have put myself through it. Because it just got nowhere. It didn't get anybody anywhere, and it all seemed pretty useless to me, but oh, I'm young, so it must be okay. I don't know, that's just something that kind of annoys me. And as I said, if somebody's older and gets through the system in like 2 weeks, then it's normal. It's not, at least it only took you 2 weeks. It's, oh, congratulations for finally getting tea. And for me, it's like, oh, it took you a year and a half, but at least you're young, and congrats, by the way. At least that's what it feels like. Maybe not from everybody, but from enough people that it bothers me. In other news, it is less than the period of time taken up by 3 weeks until my next appointment. I got blood drawn last weekend and have, a nice bruise right there still from it. That's good. For the record, I did that really roundabout because I've been corrected for saying less than 3 weeks, but it's not really fewer than 3 weeks because it's not 2 weeks either. The way my mind works, ignore it. And, oh, in other exciting news, I'm going to a senior prom, not at my school, but I am going to a senior prom as a sophomore. Yeah, this boy got game. Not really. Well, no, not really. I'm just a loser, really. No, don't be like, oh, you're not a loser, like, That's something I like about myself. I like being a total I consider myself a funny loser, so I'm cool with it. And useless rant here, because I don't know why you need to hear it. Yeah, so that's my news, and I'm gonna go drink tea now. Yes, you're poison. See, I told you I'm a loser. You didn't believe me. And hopefully I'll have a haircut by the time I make my next video. Alright, bye.